It's me, Tiff, your girl, La Diva Noir, and I am back for part 3 of making of the Kente Girl. And if you're just stumbling upon me, welcome. If you are returning, welcome to you as well. If you have not seen the other 2 videos, please go back and check those out. This is the final one. Plus, I put out a bonus video just showing you how I line up the features and start off the face for the dolls. I want to ask you also to take the time right now, hit like. Please hit like. It's something with the you know, that A word. It's something with that, and it tells YouTube to show this video to other people. So please, even if you don't watch the whole thing, just hit like right now and help a sister out. And while you're at it, please subscribe as well. Now, I'm not going to hold you up too much longer with this intro. We're going to get right back into making the Kente Girl. So this is where we left off at. I did the first video, I did the body, and then I did the head. I stuffed them and everything. The second video, I showed you guys how I stuffed the legs and add the wire armature onto it. I also added her underwear when you weren't looking, because you really shouldn't be watching when somebody's putting on their underwear anyway. But anyway, I added her underwear. Now, I did stick the super cute red sneaker on just because I thought it was cute and I wanted to see what it looked like. In fact, let me take it off. See, isn't it cute? But anyway, so this is where we left off at. And then I explained to you guys also that I do not have the arms on yet because I really want to put her dress on first. Well, I want to do part of her dress. I want to do the skirt and the bodice of her dress first, and then I'll go back in and I will add her arms on to it. You remember we did the joints together. I put the legs on and I put them on with button joints right here. And after looking back at the video, it might not have been like the clearest video on how to do the button joints, but trust me, I make dolls all the time. You guys will see me do button joints a million times. I'm going to try to get a clearer video. Also, someone had mentioned that they would have loved if I put out a PDF of the pattern so that they can make it along with me. And I'm going to be honest with you, I never ever even thought of that before. I've never thought about selling my patterns, and really because I never thought I had anything worth selling. Like the final thing, yeah, but to me the pattern is just like, oh, it's a head, it's a body, it's some arms, it's some legs, and I never really thought that maybe someone would be interested. So if I can get, so please weigh in and let me know if you guys are truly interested in me doing tutorials and providing the pattern for a small price. I wouldn't charge much for it, but if you are interested in me doing tutorials while you follow along with me with the actual pattern, that's something that I can do. That is something I need you guys just to let me know that that's what you would like. If I get enough people who say that they are really truly interested in seeing the pattern, I won't necessarily put a pattern out specifically on that doll, but I will put a pattern out on the basic body, because most of the time that's what I am. I'm creating a basic body pattern. I have about 5 or 6 basic body patterns, and that I just recycle depending on what doll, and then I change stuff or add stuff to it depending on what the doll is. But if enough people tell me that you are interested in sewing along with me, then I will be able to provide the PDF of the patterns for a small price. But anyway, here she is. Our next steps, like I said, are to add the dress, add the arms, and then the hair, and whatever else I think I want to add to her. I am considering giving her a purse just like the boho girl had. Maybe not that exact purse, but giving her a little bag to go along with her outfit, and you know, she'll get some jewelry and some other things, doodads to brighten her up. But let's get into making the doll. Okay, so here she is. This is exactly what I am achieving a roundabout look for. I sketch every doll before I create her. Sometimes she turns out exactly like the picture, but a lot of times it's a variation of the picture. But you can always look back at the picture and know that that was what the original sketch was, okay? So you see her dress is made of kente, and she only has one sleeve, if you see right here. So first things, we are going to, in 3 separate pieces, we're going to do the skirt, and then the top, and then the single sleeve, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have I cut out the pattern pieces already. They're laying out right here. They're kind of blending into each other. I'm going to pick them up and show them to you individually. So I tend to work in rectangles and do a lot of gathering and things like that. But I keep it simple. It's the KISS method, you know. Keep it simple, stupid. Yes, well, that's me. That's exactly what I do. So I have 4 pieces of fabric laid out right here. So I have this piece right here, and this is going to end up being her bodice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold over the edges. I'm going to hem off the edges. You know what? I might as well just pin it while I have the video rolling. I'm just going to pin the edges. I might have to put a lot of pins in there, especially since I'm not one of those people who likes to sew with the pins still in. And then I fold over the other side. And I just pin it. And this piece is going to be her bodice. On the picture, I think I had her sleeve being the same with all of this, just this color on it, but I don't know what I was thinking. but when I was working on this, I forgot what colors. I didn't have the picture in front of me, so I forgot what colors I had used. But I like this. I really do like this. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make a slight change in it also. I think I had like her sleeve a bit gathered, where I think I'm going to leave her sleeve kind of full. So with that being said, I'm changing her sleeve to this fabric because I think that's going to be kind of cute. I told you, when I draw a picture, it doesn't always end up exactly the way the picture is. So as far as the sleeve goes, I'm going to start off with hemming it. And then once I have it hemmed, I'm going to fold it with the right sides in, and then I'm going to just stitch it straight down here. And then eventually this piece will be the sleeve. Another change that I made for the doll, I didn't draw it in there, but I decided I wanted to do like a tulle underskirt. So I had this really long piece of tulle. This is about 40 inches in actuality. This is about 40 inches, and it's actually doubled, if you can see here. So what I'm going to unpin it, and then I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to unpin it. Matter of fact, let me unpin it, because I only got the pins there because I was using the pins as my guide to cut with, because I really hate making patterns. I do it occasionally because sometimes you will see that something, when it comes to clothes, but you will see that some things will call for me to have a pattern, so I do it sometimes, but I don't always do it. Okay, so I'm going to fold it. What I'll do is I'm going to fold it in half. It's about 40 inches long. I'm going to do this is I'm going to, I can't seem to, I'm struggling here, guys. I'll tell you now, like it's okay to struggle. It's okay if things aren't perfect. It's fine. So what I want to do, I fold it in half. I'm going to sew it along the short edge right here where I fold it in half and connect these two together. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll end up folding it in half, and then that'll end up being the tulle underneath her skirt. And then I have this fabric, which is about maybe a little bit less than 40 inches. It's not quite as long. Just because I want the tulle to kind of like be stiff underneath of it, so that it'll really help the dress actually expand when I draw it all together. But the skirt, I'm pretty much just going to fold this in half. I'm just going to fold it in half. And then I'm just going to sew it right here. Now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the seam in the back, but that would be a preference for you. And in actuality, you don't have to use this fabric. You can use any fabric that you want. It is perfectly okay if you decide to use a different fabric. But this is just what I chose for this particular doll. So it's a preference. I'm going to leave the seam in the back because I just don't see it being making that big of a deal. But if it is a big deal to you, the only thing that you would do is you wouldn't just sew it on the open end. Where's the okay? You wouldn't just sew it on the open end here. You would stitch down the closed end also, and then once you trim your seams and turn it inside out, you'd have the seams on the sides versus having the seam in the back, which is what I'm going to do. I keep forgetting. Okay, seam in the back, which is what I'm going to do for this doll. So I'm going to head over to the sewing machine, and I am going to sew these basic pieces, and I will be back. Okay, guys, I am over at my sewing machine, but I'm so sorry. I was going to actually sew it while I was filming, and I forgot to hit the start button. So I apologize, but I'm going to show you exactly what I said that I was going to do. So remember, this is this smaller piece right here. This is the sleeve, and I sewed it down the line there. I also hemmed it, and you can see the hem across it right there. It is still inside out. I'm going to clip my flyaway strings. I hate those little flyaway strings. Turn it inside out. And even if you can't tell, this is going to be a sleeve when it's all said and done. I also did the skirt. Here, this is sewn down. I did it just on one end. And then I trimmed the excess off. I used it with the pinking shears. And I went ahead and hemmed it. If you can see the line where I hemmed it at. So it's the same thing. I just turn it. I cut off my flyaway ends, which I don't have to do right now in front of you guys. I'm going to make the seam my back and the back. And this is what it looks like. And I'm just going to do a gathering stitch Bring it together like this, and this will end up being her skirt, just like that with the gathering stitch. Now, as far as the tulle was concerned, I did a straight line here, across here, but this was double the size. And then I folded it in half. You see how now it's 2 layers? Because I just folded in half into each other. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing that I'm going to do to the skirt, to the outer skirt. I'm just going to do a gathering stitch and then draw this puppy in like that. And then that'll be how I do that. And when I come back, I will be ready to actually assemble the dress onto the Kente Girl. Okay, I'm back. I did a gathering stitch on all the items that I need to do a gathering stitch on. I needed to do it on the, oh, my lights is too bright. Here we go. I needed to do one on the tulle for underneath. I did a gathering stitch for the outer skirt. And I did a gathering stitch on the sleeve as well, just preparing it for when I attach the arm, because the sleeve isn't going to go on until after the arm goes on. So right now, the only thing I'm doing right here is I'm just sewing the tulle onto the doll. I'm just going to tack it in a couple of places. Well, actually, I'm just going to sew it on in the back, and then I'm going to just take a little glab of the glue, and then to adhere it, period, so it doesn't move. I'm just going to make sure that it's evenly spread around. Then I'm going to go up underneath here, and I have a glue gun right here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right there at her stomach. And then this is hot, but I'm just going to like just glue that down just so that it doesn't move anymore. And then I'm going to take the outer skirt, put it over top, figure out the length that I want it to go at. I think I wanted to do it just above the skirt, so you can't see the skirt anymore. That same gathering stitch. Remember, I left my seams in the back. I left it in the back on both pieces. So, look at it right there. I'm going to pull it tight, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to just do a couple of stitches onto the back. Tie it off. Make my threads disappear. Put a little bit of glue up underneath it to secure it on the opposite side. And then I'll be ready to add the bodice. Now, here she is, and the only thing I have left is to add her bodice. Well, I need to clean the ends, but I'm going to add her bodice on. So once I add the bodice on, this is what it's going to look like, and I will be right back. Hey, so I hot glued the bodice on, just glued it right here on the back. You saw what the bodice looked like already. I glued it around the waistband so it's not moving. Matter of fact, I'm holding the doll by the bodice. It's not going anywhere. So this is what her dress looks like for. And now what I need to do is I need to make the arms and attach her sleeve, and that's the next move. I'll be back. So next we have the 2 arms, and I want to cut a slit right about here in the inside of the arm on both of them, and then I'm going to turn them right side through the hole. So if I lay this down this way, Pick up the first one. Like I said, I try to make sure that I have the hole in the inside too. That's something, be careful. I can't tell you how many times I have done this and the hole that I cut ended up on the outside. I don't want that to happen because I don't want anyone to see the hole. So just like I cut it here, I'll make sure that both arms go against each other, and then I know to cut on the other side where the arms matched. And I'm just going to put another slit, just a little slit in it so that I can turn it right side. But since I'm only working on this one arm right now, I'm going to put this one back inside the bag until I'm ready for it. Then just like before, you know, my weapon of choice is the screwdriver. And to turn it inside out, I start off with the tip of the hand and kind of pull it apart at the tip, and then I stick it, gonna push it in the tip with my finger, see, so that it looks like that. And then I take the screwdriver and push it all the way through. Once again, this may be basic to some folks, but there's gonna be some folks that it's not so basic for, so. And then once I turn it through, I just make sure that, you know, I get all of my corners, you know, like where the kind of like a thumb goes. We know that's not a real thumb, but it's a doll. She's not picking anything up. Okay, so I make sure that all my, you know, like if it's on curves and things like that, that they're all coming out where they need to be. I usually take the screwdriver and run the side of it along the edge and the inside, just so that I make sure that I can see like where all of the points curve in my pattern. And that's it, pretty much. Just turn the other part in. And here we are, we turned the arm. Now, just like before, I just need the wire armature. Put it in the toolbox. Same thing. So, like I said, if you didn't see the other video and you're just watching with us right now, I probably maybe should have did some research and figured this out, but that was really just yesterday, literally. And I didn't get a chance to. I don't know what gauge this is. So you know what I'm going to do for you guys? I'm going to include the metal armature link in the comments. So if anybody, you know, wants to grab it, wants to get it, they can. And then I'll also include for the dowel needle too, because I know I talked about that before. So I'll include a link for the dowel needle as well. So I measure it up. I go from the top, and then I'll just measure down to the hand, to the bottom of the finger. I leave a little bit of space at the top and a little bit of space at the bottom. And right here, then I take my ugly beat up metal, my ugly beat up wire cutters, and I just cut. And then might as well, while I'm doing this, I might as well do the other one to make sure that we get the same length. There's no point in remeasuring it or anything. Even my primitive style of measuring. And we're going to cut that one off. And I'm going to stick this one in the box because I'm not working on it yet. But we are working on this one. Just like with the leg, I'm not a fan of the blunt ends. So I'll take the needle nose pliers again and turn them in and then straighten it out. I kind of usually flatten it in too to make sure that, you know, if there's any scraggly ends, that there really are, you know, encased. And I do it on both sides. Turn this one in. Oh, I didn't get this one already turned. Okay. And then you just kind of flatten it out, and here we go. And we have this is the armature to go inside of the arm. So with the arm, that's a little bit different than the leg. Is normally I would start stuffing it. Then I would stick the armature in, and then I would stuff it all the way up until the same point, that dent, right where at the curve of the arm, tie it off, finish stuffing it, and then closing it up. But because this is the hand and I actually want the wrist to bend easily as well, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff it up to the wrist. Then I'm going to put the wire in it, close that up, then go to the next part, bend and close that up, and keep on going. So it's almost the same thing, so a little bit different. Okay, so like I said, I stuffed it up into the top of the wrist, and then I put the metal armature in. You can see it's right here, and I pushed it all the way down as far as it could go. And then I'm just going to gather this and sew it up. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the midway point and then finish filling it up. Okay, and this is how I do it. Just like how I did it with the leg, I would come in with the thread at a random part towards the bottom of the hand, somewhere where there's stuffing already. And then I'm going to take the needle. Oh, you can't even see. I didn't even show you where I went. You see, I just went to a random part at the bottom. Then I take the needle and I come out up at the top, right at the top of the stuffing, where I stopped stuffing at. Remember, this is how I'm going to make sure that I do not see where my, see the little leftover pieces of the fabric. Yeah, that. And then I'm going to take the needle. I realized that in the other video I was just naming stuff the wrong stuff. But I'm going to take the needle. I go into the thread right around where I started in. I'm just going to go in, and then I'm going to knot it off. Remember, I leave that little piece hanging because I'm going to use that piece to pull to make sure that it's really, that it's pulled through. Pull tight. See, I'm still saying the wrong words. And then I just wrap the thread around the fabric and the metal, with the metal right in the middle. And I just do it a couple of times, maybe 4 or 5 times. It's fine. And then right at the back, I just bring the needle in because I just want to tie it off. So you see what I did? Then go in and knot it and do it one more time because I just want to make sure that nothing comes apart. Although it probably would have been fine if I didn't do it, but I just wanted to make sure. And then I'll take the needle and I'll go right in at the thread and come out at another random point in the hand. And now, like I said, you don't see where the threads begin or ended once I cut the little thingamajigs off. And that's it. Now next, I'm going to stuff it up to the middle point. Do the exact same thing that I did when I closed off the bottom, and then bring it up to the top and close it off. Okay, so I finished. I closed it all up, You can see my stitches, but it is okay because when you go to attach the arm, you're going to attach the arm where the stitches are, so no one will ever see your stitches. Like you can do a ladder stitch, you might have to worry about it. It's going to look a whole lot neater, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to cover it up. So we have this whole arm, it's done. And the wrist bend, the elbow bends. It looks like the sea. Maybe I should go eat I don't know, I was having Cookie Monster visions, and then all of a sudden I wanted a cookie, and I have some Chips Ahoy in the refrigerator. But I'm not going to eat it on screen. Alright, so I did the first one. Now I'm just going to do the other one, and I will be back when we're ready to actually attach the arms onto the Kente Girl. Alright guys, she has 2 arms now. They're both closed up and they're ready to be attached. I'm going to attach one here and one here. And the reason why I put the bodice on first is because I actually want the arm to lay over top of the bodice. And if I tried to put the bodice on after the arms were there, then it would have probably came down lower than I actually wanted it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these. And if you want to see with button joints, and if you want to see exactly how I attach them with button joints, make sure you check out part 2 and when I do the legs, because it is the exact same steps and I do explain it step by step. Okay, so now she has arms. Now I can actually finish the whole process of dressing her. So we have the sleeve. Well, what I told y'all looks like was just a rectangle. I promise you it's going to be a sleeve. I put a running stitch on it the same way I did the skirt. You can see I can move it around, move the fabric around. I still have my needle attached to it so that I can draw it. I'm going to take one of her arms, just one arm, and put it in. Leave the opening down at the bottom, and then I'm just going to draw it around her shoulder. And ta-da! She has her dress with the one sleeve. And then after I draw it, I'm just going to take the thread and wrap it around a couple of times. I swear this looks like, it really does probably look really awkward, and this would probably be going a whole lot smoother if I wasn't filming, because that's just how things work out for me. If no one was watching, it's like it's easy. But you have somebody watch, and then boom, something becomes difficult. Okay, I have it here. I'm going to take the end of my needle, and then I'm going to go in under her arm right about there, and I'm just going to put a couple of stitches right there. Oh, I really like how she's turning out. So here she is so far. And the next things that I need to add to her, well, in the photograph she has on socks. She has on socks, and she has on the little red sneakers. So I need to make the socks. And then remember, I had also decided that she was going to have a little purse that she's going to carry. And it is easier for me to do the purse now than it is for me to wait until it's completely done. So I still need her socks. I still need to make her purse. And what else do I need? I need something else. Oh, she needs jewelry and she needs hair. So next step, I think I'm going to lay out the pattern for her socks. Okay, I'm back over to the drafting table. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do her socks. And real quick, I'm going to show y'all my system of keeping patterns. I keep my patterns in this binder right here. Or at least I started keeping my patterns in this binder. I seen it. I'm not the author of this idea. I seen it from another YouTuber who she said she kept a binder and she kept all her patterns. I don't even think she was a seamstress. I think I don't know what she did, but she kept all of her patterns. I don't remember, inside of the protector sheets inside of a binder. So that I said, just like I put it in, I made it part of my recipe. And I decided to do the same thing too. So I put them in the sleeve, and I'll bring it up closer. You can see I labeled them. Each one of the patterns. This is the pattern pieces for the 19-inch doll. And what I need is the leg from the doll. I need the leg because all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use it as a guide to drawing the pattern for the sock. Now, I'm not going to make it just use this and just trace it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Well, definitely shorter and a little bit bigger because I want the socks to be kind of slouchy on her foot. But this still gives me a guide so that I have an idea of the exact size that I want them. So I found that inside of the pattern for the 19-inch doll. Next, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the fabric, which will be this orange. It's like t-shirt fabric. It's like kind of stretchy on all sides. In particular, I want the stretch to be in the width of the leg, not so much the length. So I have the fabric right now. I have it doubled. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just kind of loosely trace that onto the fabric. And then I'm going to sew directly onto the fabric and then cut it out. Okay, so here I have the fabric laid out. There is no right or wrong side to this particular or is it? Oh yeah, it is a wrong side. Duh, I was going to screw up my whole thing. I'm going to turn it to the wrong sides. So I have the right sides together, the wrong sides apart. They're just socks. I want them to be kind of slouchy, kind of imperfect. So I'm just going to trace it twice onto this fabric. And I'm not really going to worry about them being perfect. It doesn't really matter whether they're exactly the same because, I mean, they're slouchy socks. So it really, truly doesn't matter. So I have here where I drew the sock. You can see where I drew the sock. And then I'll just go over to the sewing machine. I will sew directly on the lines that I drew, and then I will cut around it, and then she'll have her socks. Hey y'all, so I'm back. It's been a couple of days. Don't ask. It was just a wash. But anyway, it's been a couple of days and I'm back. And as I promised you guys, here she is now. I did her socks and put her little sneakers on. You already saw the dress. I gave her a gold choker. So if you saw the part 2 video, then you saw my inspiration for this doll, and then you noticed that she had a little gold choker on. This one's a little bit different because I put the orange cowrie shell in the center right here. And as promised, I made her a little bag out of the scraps. I even got the camo in there. So she has a little, you know, she has a little purse with her. And now all she needs is her hair. So that's what we're going to work on now. And this is what I have for her hair. If you saw the making of the Kente Girl, no, not this is the Kente Girl. If you saw Nzinga, how I made Nzinga, then you saw, I explained to everyone that what I use for hair is hair. Plain and simple. It's hair. It's no mystery to it. It's not real hard to search out. This is the same hair that they use for braiding. This is the synthetic blend. And I got this from Amazon, but you can go to like most beauty supply places and just buy hair. It's like, what do you use for hair? I use hair. Like, that's all it is to it. But I'm going to first start off with showing you guys how I prepare the hair to go on to her head. And I'll put it in the tools, with the tools right here. How I even prepare the hair to go on her head. So it comes in with this little tied together, and these two things. I'm not going to use that piece up at the top, so I'm just going to cut it off. And it just flew across the room, and we'll get that later. There are always mishaps when you're creating. That was just one of it. That piece of hair was a casualty of creativity. Like my earring was the other day, right? Okay. So I have this hair right here. And what I do to prepare it to go on the head is, one, I kind of loosen it up. I just kind of, pull at it and just kind of loosen it up because it makes it easier to separate it. And then I'll grab a bunch of it. Like these little bundles right here, I probably can get maybe 4 out of. No, each one, I think I probably could get like 3 out of it, which means I'm going to use quite a bit of that hair. So I separated that into, so see about the size that I separated it into? I separated it, like I don't know how to talk, into. And then I take the hair. Now, if I wanted shorter hair, then I would cut it to whatever length that I wanted it to, and then I will fold it in half. I don't want her hair to be short. I want her to have a nice full afro. So I'm just going to bend it in half, and then I'm going to tie it in the middle, round about the middle. Once again, this is not a measuring thing. There's not a test that you're going to fail if you don't measure the perfect amount, measure it perfectly in the middle. It really doesn't matter. So I did it to the middle. And if you leave the knot right here in the center, that knot in the center is the place that how I'm going to actually attach the hair. So when I attach the hair to her head, I use glue, and I use hot glue actually, and I just take that knot, and that's what I'm actually going to affix to her hair. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other 3 pieces, and then I'm going to do it with the other set of hair over there. And then I'm probably going to grab, I don't know how many it's going to take, but I like to prepare. I don't usually do it like one at a time. Like I prepare a bunch of it at a time, and if it's not enough, then I go back and I just do some more. So I am going to tie off some hair to attach, and then guys, I will be right back. Okay, I tied off a bunch of hair, and that should be enough. If not, then I'll just tie off some more. It's not that deep. Remember, we had the knot right here in the head. I'm gonna kind of hold her this way so that you can actually see what it is that I'm doing. I'm trying to get as close to the camera as possible. And I'm going to start it off, put a couple pieces in, and then finish it off. So I always start at the base of the head, because to me it's easier to build up a hairstyle from the back than it is the front. And then I don't know, just easier. It's easier to me to put things on top of each other than to have to keep lifting things up to put things underneath. So I start at the base of the hair, right in the center, usually where the neck is connected, at the neck right there. And I take my beat up glue gun and I just put you know, a dab of glue right there, and then at that knot that I created in the hair, I just attach the knot right to the base of her head. Sometimes you got to hold it for a couple of seconds because sometimes it just takes time for like just the glue to just like all dry up in it here. So you hold it for a couple of seconds and you have her first piece of hair in the back of her head. And then what happens is I continue to go in rows. So I'll do this side to here, this side to here, and then I'll do a row over top and a row over top. And then I'm just filling in the hair wherever I need to fill it in to make sure that it's full, or either to go into a certain hairstyle that I'd like. I'm not really going for a particular hairstyle with her. Or honestly, I really am thinking I'm just going to fill in her whole head with the hair. I may go back in later and, you know, and do something fancy and section off some parts, or, you know, things like that. But right now, I'm just going to add her hair, and it'll be just like she was my daughter, and I had to go and do her hair after it's, you know, and I had to comb her hair afterwards. So I'm going to just keep on adding in the hair. I'm going to do a couple more on screen with you guys though. So I'm going to add another piece of glue at the base right next to the one I did already. And I'm just going to grab another piece and right at the knot. Now, I ain't going to lie. There's been lots of times that I done burnt my fingers doing this. It's plenty of times that I have burnt my fingers doing this. It's just a casualty of, you know, the casualty of creativity. See, I think I started a whole new thing. I didn't even think about this before. Yes, the burnt fingers from the glue gun when adding the hair is just a casualty of creativity. So I got that in. I'm going to do another one right next to it, maybe just a little bit lower. But that's not important either. I'm just going to keep lining them up next to it. And then once I have a nice little row on one side, I now put in a row on the other side. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, I got a couple of them right there, and that's good enough for now. If I decide to add more in towards when I'm done, then I can. But I'm going to just start on the other side, do the exact same thing. And I think, what did I add? I added in 2 on that side. I'm going to add in 2 on this side. Same thing, just a dab of glue. Grab the hair. Put the knot right in. So the knot actually is a great anchor. And that's what the word I was trying to think of before. It's a great anchor to add the hair on. And also, these are individual strands of hair. So when you put the knot in, that kind of keeps them together so the hair doesn't fall out, pretty much. Just hold it in. And then I'll do, I guess I'll do like 2 more on the side. Because it's kind of maybe a little bit off on the center before. You know, with my videos, there's that 3 o'clock alarm.
3 o'clock p.m.
That famous 3 a.m. No, 3 a.m. Good Lord, thank God it ain't 3 a.m. That famous 3 p.m. alarm of mine. Okay. See, here go one that was a little bit stubborn. It tried to lift off. So I'm like, I know that I'm going to have to sit here for a second and actually press this one in and hold it down till it actually catches. Now, I use hot glue. I've seen other people use all kinds of different kinds of glue. I mean, I guess you could use fabric glue. That will work just as well, too. But I don't know. Hot glue is the best thing for me. Like I said, y'all, this is a recipe. You figure out if you're just starting out and you don't know, you just figure out, look at what I do, look at what someone else does, look at some other videos, see what everyone else is doing, and then decide what's best for you. I cannot say that enough. This is really just a matter of you figuring out what's best for you. See, now she has nice full back of the hair, and then I'm just pulling glue strands. That's the downside of using hot glue, is the stupid little glue strands, glue strings. But you can just have some patience. This is your baby. This is your artwork. Have some patience and clean it up. Okay, so you see it here from the back, so it's nice and full across the back, and even when you look at it from the front, it looks nice and full from the front. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep adding layers. I'm going to add another layer across here, and probably a 3rd layer up top, and then I may go in and fill in a couple of spots here and there. I'll be back. And kudos to you if you stuck around to the end of the video. This was a 3-part series with a bonus video in between. Make sure if you didn't see the other the other 2 plus the bonus, make sure you go back and check those out. And don't forget, like and subscribe, and like and subscribe, and like and subscribe. Yes, please help a sister out. Share. Also, tell someone else about me and my channel. This is what we do here. We create beautiful creations. We live a beautiful life, and we share it with others. So it's your girl Tiff, La Diva Noir. Love you all to life. Peace. And me and the Kente Girl are out.